Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Iron Hour podcast. I'm hosting as normal this week. It's Barry here, joined by Marco. How you doing, Marco?
Good evening. Quiet week at the office. Yeah, looking forward to it.
There's a lot to unpack today. The usual introduction for our next panelist is the People's Princess. That title may have slipped somewhat. Gareth, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Really good. There's some
Really
great
good.
news. But yeah,
But we're gonna have to mention it. So I do need to get the elephant out of the room. Me and Gareth are wearing the same shirt.
we are.
Yeah. So can we do one of those polls? Who wore it better?
Well, if we're doing polls, we'd have been fine last week.
Yeah. Yeah, oh God.
I love that Barrett's just got that. There's gonna be a poll to get Barrett on the poll.
Which panelists do you want next week? Let us know. Pick here. Pay just £5 a month and you can pick your host.
No, Max doesn't come on a single podcast all year.
Brilliant. Okay, so a lot to unpack on this week's episode of the podcast. We've got the massive review of the Chester game, the huge 6-pointer at the top of the National League North. Fantastic day, fantastic occasion, fantastic result for the Iron, winning 3-1. Of course, we'll preview the game against Southport on Saturday. Massive, massive fixture again as we head in now to the final 6 games of the season. The form table suggests, Scunthorpe United currently in second in terms of home form, coming up against Southport, who are all the way down in 18th when it comes to away form. So you would hope it would be a banker, but of course it never works out like that. But first things first, on the Iron Hour podcast this week, we absolutely have to address the elephant in the room. We have to talk about the news coming out over the weekend about FC 100,000 and their prospective investment / takeover of Scunthorpe United, which of course we know was kiboshed. And the board put out a statement on Monday saying that all communications, all contact with FC 100,000 had ceased and they wouldn't be going any further. But one of our very own Gareth seemed to be caught up in the crossfire of it all. So Gareth, what the hell happened?
Can I just put my Shrek mask on? Because I believe he got less pitchforks than I did. No, basically, I was asked by the club if I would be part of a video. I think a lot of media thought the video involved me and just FC 100,000, which wasn't the case. It was myself and the 4 board members. And there was also a dressing room scene. But it wasn't me indirectly FC 100,000. It was to do with the FC 100,000 investment. And obviously, as media saw, the fans were up in arms against it. And the club pulled out, which, looking back, is the correct decision. But yeah, that's all I can tell you, really. I wasn't involved in any video specifically with FC 100,000 owners or whoever it was, like a lot of people thought. And the board made the correct decision in the end. Short and simple.
So just take us back then. So how does that happen then? Are you privy to what the video is about? Do you know that this FC 100,000 are interested in investing in the club? And what
I knew they were interested. I knew they were interested in investing. And I was asked if I'd be part of the video towards it. Just as a fan that everybody knows, I guess, with the YouTube channel, with the podcast. I just want to say as well, mentioning the podcast, none of the podcast members knew other than myself. I didn't tell anyone anything. So yeah, there's no blame on the rest of the podcast. But yeah, it was just basically, I was aware that these people wanted to invest in the club and the board members were all up for it, seemed all up for it. And like I say, the video that I was going to be shooting was just with board members and a scene out of the changing room. That was it.
Okay, Marco, let's have your reaction to the prospective investment from FC 100,000. Initially, what was your thoughts when the news started to break on Saturday night / Sunday morning?
Shit. Big shit. Going directly towards the fan. Or in this case, the fans. It would be us getting shut on. Look, the whole concept is it something we'll see in the future? Yes, I genuinely think there's a big possibility. Hopefully not us, but look, the way football runs are running at the minute, something does need to change. I do get that, but we are not that club to be experimenting with. Especially over the last couple of years with previous owners. Look, that's no secret too. We have gone through the ringer a bit. And yeah, more the timing, the high from Saturday to hearing that on Saturday night, Sunday morning, you almost didn't want to believe it, and you sort of second doubted yourself, like, let's just wait till a statement comes out, or let's just wait till anything comes out, really. And like Gareth mentioned earlier, we all didn't know anything at all about it. It was a bit of a dot 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 Rebecca Vardy moment when we actually did find out. But look, we are the club and to be experimented on. And look, it's ended up for the better now, but it was really worrying times. And I mean, it's no secret the board need investment, and we can fully understand that. And I think most fans can get on board with that. And I think one thing that has actually came about this is the amount of fans I've seen speaking up saying they would invest in sort of a monthly subscription if that helps the club. I know a lot of clubs in this league. I think it's Darlington who possibly they actually pay their transfer budget or something like
Yeah,
that.
they do a scheme called Boost the Budget, just for our listeners who aren't aware of that. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. As the season comes to a close, fans can start putting money towards the budget for the next season in terms of transfers and stuff.
Yeah,
And I think they've got, tens of thousands of
yeah,
pounds worth of transfers in the
yeah. And
past.
look, that's a model that we could maybe look at doing rather than obviously me voting for who's playing. I know I made a joke on Twitter saying I wouldn't have minded it if I could have voted Ross Millen to not be starting every game of the season. I'd have quite liked it. I'd have been behind it. But no, in all seriousness, look, I think I saw something on X saying we're not a club to be messed with, and look, the fans have grown to we can smell out bullshit now, and I think at that time, in that moment, it's not for us. It wasn't for us, and common sense prevailed.
Yeah, I'll probably have my comment on it as well because on Monday we were invited down to the club. And when I say we, I mean there was Matt Blanchard from Iron Brew, myself from Iron Hour, and Tony Goslin from the Iron Trust. So three effective fan groups were in the room with the three owners. So that was George Aikenhead, Michelle Harness, Roger Arman were there in person. Ian Sharp, the fourth owner, was there on a video link. Matt Roberts was in the room, and also Andy Butler was in the room. And I can be quite honest with the conversations because there was absolutely no secrets. And I think the whole point of the meeting was to give a level of transparency and honesty back to the fan base. So I think that the owners were quite clear that the three people in that room were all against the prospective plans, and they'd actually decided before we went into that room that they were going to withdraw from whatever investment had been agreed. But actually, just to offer a little bit of balance, I will say this. There was definitely a vibe of unity across the board. Now, rightly or wrongly, they believed that there were certain elements of the prospective investment that they agreed with, and they were probably disappointed with how it came out over the weekend for sure. And I think they felt probably this is my interpretation. They probably felt let down by FC 100,000 in terms of how the documentation and the literature came out over the weekend. But they held their hands up, and I will say this: all four of them held their hands up and said, "Look, we probably got it wrong on this occasion. There's elements of it that we would like to explore, though, such as the fan investment, and maybe there's something we can do with that." And look, I'm thinking of a couple of them in particular were pretty sore because it was still raw with it being Monday and all that exploding over the weekend. But in a way, there was like a level of maturity because they've all said, "Look, we've listened to the fans. We understand what the fans are saying. That's that." So I don't really know what else to say other than it was a big drama over the weekend. And really, if I'm being, to steal an Andy Butler phrase here, if I'm being brutally honest, they held their hands up and rectified it on Monday morning as soon as they could.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Anything
that.
else?
I agree with that, and I think most times I wouldn't say we're brushed under the carpet now, but we are trying to forget about it. I think it's important it doesn't linger because, like I said, with the timing of it, look, we're top of the league. We're in a really good position, and we do not need that shit sticking at the club. So look, we can't forget about it. It was really disappointing how it happened. Another club Another thing the club have done today is reach out for representatives to bridge that gap between the fans and the club. Because look, what happened at the weekend shouldn't have happened without any notice to fans whatsoever. And I think that was the
Yeah.
thing, not being told and not being aware. So yeah, look, I'm not saying brush it under the carpet, but it needs to be getting about.
Learn from it.
So yeah, we've got a big
Yeah.
6 games coming up, and it can never happen again.
On that then, Gareth, Marco touched there on the fact that the club have now reached out on Thursday and asked for fan representatives. What kind of candidate would you like to see? Because I'm probably looking at someone who's maybe not in the spotlight, not a prominent Iron fan. I'm looking for somebody who maybe has no, that wasn't bad. Maybe has a core interest in what's going on at the club, but maybe someone that wouldn't necessarily come to mind.
They mentioned three, didn't they? Three fans.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to cover all spectrums. The younger fan, the mid-range, and the older fan. I think it needs to cover everybody. It's not just three fans that are of a similar age group. I think it needs spreading across. Somebody, fans. For me, it's got to be someone that goes regular as well and knows what's happening at the club, what's happening on the pitch. It can't just be somebody plucked out who goes twice a season. Times a season, they don't need to be going home and away for me, and just feeling the fans' general, what's wrong, and someone that the fans can walk up to on the terrace or on the seats and just say, what about this, what about that, can you mention this type thing. So it's going to be someone that's approachable as well. I think it does have to cover every age group, the three people, really.
Yeah.
For me, and like you say, no prominent fans either. I think it's got to be somebody that's not really associated with the club, so somebody that's not off Iron Trust, off Iron Brew, off Iron Hour. Myself, I saw my name mentioned earlier a couple of times. I was like, it's not for me. It needs to be people coming in, fresh fans that really maybe the club don't know about. They're just on a database, but they don't know what they're like as a person or anything.
I'll tell you why I have a similar view on like why it kind of shouldn't be any. Same on Facebook, somebody mentioned my name, and I said absolutely no, and I'll tell you for why. Because actually, with the podcast and on social media, this gives me a level of ability to scrutinise, praise, and challenge. And actually, I enjoy that. I enjoy being able to say I agree with that, or I really don't agree with that. And if maybe I was involved in the decisions or consulted, I don't know that I could have that freedom. So that was why, for me personally, it was probably particularly with being on the podcast. But equally, my other point was maybe the odd my fruity language on the terrace isn't maybe suitable to somebody who is prominent or.
You're saying one of these representatives isn't allowed to swear.
I'm not saying that, but I've heard some of that language, Marco, from me and you. It's not good, is it?
I think we've caused the Alfreton keeper to retire.
Yeah, can we just talk about that? Alfreton have got rid of their goalkeeper after me and Marco buried him.
To be fair, I was very supportive.
He had a good game.
He'll get a new team, and now he's looking.
Yeah, that was funny. He came for a cross, half messed it, and you went, Don't worry, Robbo, you'll get a new club." Okay. Right, opening segment done. Let's look ahead. Let's look back to that game on Saturday. An unbelievable game, Gareth. Probably the biggest game of the season. Probably the biggest performance of the season. And certainly the best result of the season so far. Break it down for me.
Yeah. I was expecting a close game, a cagey game. I said beforehand, a 1-0 either way or a draw. Just as long as we didn't lose. And, I think the occasion got to Chester. I really do. I just think they were, maybe a lot more was expected of them. But we just played, phenomenal, really. We turned up. We actually turned up in front of a big crowd. I think that was a fear with people as well. Big crowd. We never turn up. And, we turned up big time. So just everything. But I don't think they offered that much, Chester. I think we were on top of them all over the park, really. I don't think there were many saves we made by either keeper, either. I think Fitzsimmons made one, did he, where it was headed straight to him, a soft, he's dropped to the floor. But other than that, I can't really remember any saves.
No.
Their keeper either, in fairness. It's either balls were either in the back of the net or just wide, just over. But no, I just think, it was when it mattered, we turned up.
Yeah.
Put on the performance, and the fans were absolutely loving it. You'll have all seen videos all over media online. The club have put videos together and put out as well. And it was a special day, and it was the result that we needed. After with Kidderminster playing well at the moment as well. You've got to take your chances, and we took our chances. And I think that Chester's title hopes gone, done and dusted.
Yeah, maybe, but you never know with this league because
no.
Probably 10 days ago from where we are right now, Kidderminster were 8 points adrift. If we'd have beaten them, they'd have been 11 points adrift, and now they're just 2 points behind us. Marco, 8,300 people almost were in attendance on Saturday, a National League North record, okay? For me, the biggest takeaway was not just that we rose to the occasion, but we put Chester to the sword, one of the best teams in this division, and we absolutely did a job on them.
Like you said, 8,300. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And a massive pat on the back to the fans that did go. Look, we can only hope that those that it was the first time there get back down on Saturday if they enjoyed it. I mean, if they didn't enjoy that, trust me, that doesn't happen every week. They don't want to be expecting that. Because to me on Saturday, it was men versus boys. And it's not very often we get the chance to say that. We just literally, we did not take our foot off them. It was fantastic to watch. We scored at a really good time just before half time because before that, they maybe got on the ball for 5 or 10 minutes, but without really causing us any problems. The goal came at a perfect time. And look, that's textbook Robertson. He's pinching it off fair defend. If it was one of our centre backs and he's pissing about with it,
you'd be fuming.
I'm absolutely, as Max Bell would say, shell it. And
shell it.
That's when it did need doing. And look, that doesn't happen with an Andy Butler defender. So yeah, they'll be really upset to concede that because if we go in 0-0 at half time, it's possibly a different game. But no, like you said, we rose to the occasion. So many people saw it. So many people were there outside, in the ground, people enjoying drinks, food, rides. Look, it was brilliant. But you couldn't fault the day till about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock when we heard. So yeah, look, an absolutely fantastic day. One that I'll remember a long time. And I can't look. I've gone to watch Scunthorpe a long time. I can't remember the Donny Road end being that loud and that boisterous. It was fantastic to be a part of.
And we just say as well a massive shout out to James Moody for getting the day on and sorting it all out, basically. Shall we talk about the halftime entertainment? No, we'll just gloss over that.
No, we will talk about that. It was part of the day. There's a lot to unpack. But before we do, Marco mentioned a Andy Butler defender. Gareth, let's talk about another Andy Butler defender. There's been conversations around selection at right back. Now, obviously, Ollie Rose is in the middle of a bit of an injury dropout. We expect he probably won't be available for Saturday again against Southport. Now, the obvious hand to play would have been to play Joe Starbuck at right back. Obviously, he's played a few games. He played in the Links Cup on Tuesday night. Hopefully, we'll get to talk about that at some point. That would have been the obvious move. But Andy Butler, thinking outside the box, went for the left-footed Michael Kelly at right back. And best tactical decision of the season so far?
Excuse me, sorry. You could say, but I was speaking to a player before the game. I'm not mentioning names, and they were saying that about Kells being played there, that they wanted him for his experience, that big game experience. He's played in front of big crowds before, and that he'd do a job, and they just felt that he was more stable to be there than anyone else, just with the away fans as well. But fantastic, really, that we've got him, that he's been sat on the bench, a player like that as well, and that we could utilise him when we need him. And that's what having a squad's all about, isn't it? But, it was fantastic.
But Marco, it wasn't just his experience that we utilised. The point there I'm making about him being right-footed was the fact that what it allowed us to do continuously was get the ball to him. He would check inside and loft the ball into the box. And his goal came from that because it was a shot in the end. But so often he would get the ball on, get it in, and create chances from his left foot.
Yeah, and look, I don't think Butler's started him with the intention of
Doing that.
him going forward. I think he's putting in. He's going to be more solid defensively. Thinking Chester are going to offer a lot more than we actually did. I think as the game's gone on, Kelly's thought I can get forward here. There's nothing coming down my wing. They're not really pushing men forward, and that's how that goal came. We committed a lot of bodies because we felt we could, and like I said, we really did take them to the sword without, I feel, even getting out of third, fourth gear. I think there's a lot more to come on that pitch. And look, I know it's not great at Granford Park at the minute, but teams that have played a lot of football this season, attacking football, whether that be Kidderminster or Chester, they struggle. They do struggle on that Granford Park pitch. So, look, it's been a fortress this year. We'll need it in the next couple of games too. But no, Kelly at right back was the right choice. I was a bit sceptical before the game. But look, Peterborough or Rose playing either if he's not fully fit. We don't want to make that.
No.
It's not a bad look, he's not a bad second choice, is he? And he knows that. But if Ross Barrows was playing, you'd think he'd be starting. And I felt for Kelly because after a Farza game, he said it's probably the last time I start this season. And look, he hasn't had a bad season at all. So no, he deserved that on Saturday, and I was really happy for him. I do need to apologise because in the pub afterwards, I'd had a few shandies on Saturday, and I was pretty sure it was across from where I was stood. And then the more I watched the replay, how wrong was I? So, yeah, what a cracking goal. And, yeah, brilliant to watch.
Gareth, any other players you want to highlight? Maybe Michael Clunan was another one that stood out to me on Saturday. Had a really good game.
I was going to say Will Evans. He got his head on everything. And I mean everything. He was just so dominant in the air. And I thought for them, Tom Pearce, up top for them, number 7, didn't offer anything, did he? I was expecting more from him. And he was lost up there on his own. But yeah, I thought Will Evans, great. Again, he's showing why he's in the team and keeping Boyce out. Just gets his head on everything. Unbelievable player. But yeah, like I say, Clunan as well. I think so many players had good games. They all clicked together. And I think after the Kidderminster game as well, where we seemed disjointed and lost at times ourselves, with their play, I think it just all came together for the players, for everybody, for the fans. It was just so good to see. Just that, togetherness.
Fair enough. It certainly felt like that kind of community vibe. Lots of entertainment with the Big Dipper and the fairground rides and a bit of a halftime show, Marco.
It was. I mean, thankfully I didn't see this. I was very much in the Iron Bar. But no, I heard possibly not the wisest words to be antagonising, what was it, 1,500 away fans?
Can I just say, he played a gig in Chester on Saturday night after that.
Which, to be fair to him, you've got to respect.
Yeah, if nothing else, is ballsy.
Yeah, give him his due. Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know what was in the food, in the catering, in the exec lounge, but look, whatever he had, I'm happy to be on some of that this Saturday at Southport because it was questionable. But look, he's trying to promote the festival, which needs doing. Like I said, the community day outside with the rides and the food. It was great to see. So, yeah, bit of halftime entertainment. I personally prefer maybe a crossbar challenge or a pole to go, but hopefully we don't see that again.
Did it have the pole to goal?
Yeah.
With no pole? Did it do pole to goal?
Oh, there you go.
I have got a video, but I didn't release it. I thought I can't release this.
No. Well, yeah, that footage.
I was on
more footage. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, big shout out to the AU vodka bar, which kept me going at halftime. So,
going to say more footage this week that probably won't see the light of day. But I spoke to Gemma Richardson. I know I'm name dropping, but I spoke to Gemma after the game on Saturday, and I was like, "Oh, what was that like at halftime?" She says, "She goes, Barrow, have you seen his teeth?" I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Has he got the old turkey teeth?" He said, "Honestly, mate, they're brighter than my future." So just shook that one out there. Well, that was quite funny for her. Right, anything else to talk about from Saturday? We'll have a quick couple of minutes on the Lincolnshire Cup, if not.
I'm going to say we've just won a piece of silverware. I think that needs to be
Yeah.
private.
Can I just jump in and just thank the Chester fans for throwing pyros on the pitch when we've gone 2-0 up?
Yeah.
That was
Do you know what was great about that? They obviously resigned themselves to not scoring, so wasted them all with our third and then had nothing left
Yeah.
when they did score. Heartbreaking. Poor lads. What can you do? Pyro shortage in Wales. That's all I can say. So, Tuesday night, Lincolnshire Senior Cup. The first chance this season for the Iron to get their hands on some silverware. Well, not the first chance, but first realistic chance in being in a final. Very competitive fixture against Cleethorpes Town. Obviously, a team in Quick Abacus Maths, Step 4, 2 divisions below us. Really competitive game. Play for me that stood out was Cleethorpes Town, Josh Walker, who we know from Winston Rangers. He scored, listen to this, Marco, 75 goals in 2 seasons at Winston Rangers.
That's some going. That is some.
You wouldn't mind that, would you?
No, I mean, if you can do it a couple of levels above, we need to be looking at it. But no, that's some record because they're not too far ahead of my local side, Selby.
No. Yes, obviously myself and Max on commentary. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who listened. What was the number? Did we have 677 listeners, Marco?
Overall, throughout the night, yeah.
Yeah.
You had a constant 280, 300 all game. So that just says how many people didn't have anything to do on Tuesday. But no, it was really good commentary.
Max is good, isn't he?
Max is good. He is really, and even those people who don't like Max, which we know they're listening because they can't resist.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot, mate.
And there's a lot that still listen to us despite hating us. He's very good at that. He is very good, and yeah, give him his due. Yeah, he was fantastic. John Watson.
John Watson-esque. I did have to pull the microphone from out of his throat at one point. He was absolutely gobbling it down, but what can you do?
No comment.
No, exactly. Gareth, Tuesday night, let's talk about some of the goals, shall we? Some of the players that played.
Can I just say,
Yes,
I have been ill, and I was in bed. Genuinely. I didn't even listen to the commentary. I was just ill.
Okay.
Oh, don't ask me.
Thanks for ruining that. But interesting to see Jason Law at left back, wasn't it? What did you think of that?
Me, who actually did listen?
No. Let's go, Gareth, because you know.
I thought it was interesting to put him at left back, actually.
Yeah,
and that's why I went to bed early for the team.
I think it was needed, wasn't it? It's look, we knew there were going to be changes. Law at left back, and also I think it's probably a little bit dirty on Law as well because he hasn't really had much chance to impress at all.
Not even at Spalding, he's barely been getting any minutes.
No, and look, maybe that's me being wrong earlier on the season where I said he's got to be staking a claim to start. There's obviously something there, otherwise you'd think he'd be starting at Spalding. He's a player that Jimmy knows well, so yeah, it's a strange one, and I'm starting to think we maybe won't see him at the club next year. Look, if he's putting him left back in the Links Cup final, I'd be a bit miffed off. But no, overall team choice, barring Clunan, probably wouldn't have Roberts on the bench. I haven't really got any arguments.
Last word from you on the Links Cup final then, Gareth. Great to see Mark Beck get a goal, and actually, I don't know if you've watched it yet, but Carlton's finish was unbelievable for our third goal, and 2 fantastic saves from Mason Campbell in the shootout as well.
I'm sure there was. I've not watched it.
Okay, brilliant.
It's quite fitting that you've got Cam here because he's like, what's Jeff?
Yeah. There's been 2 penalty saves. But for who, Jeff?
But going on that, reading media the day after, or like Mason Campbell got a lot of stick on the night from a few people.
Yeah,
and then a lot of other people were defending him, saying, you know, he won us the game, he pulled some good saves off in the second half. So
yeah, first half and second half were contrast, mate. Yeah, like worlds apart.
Yeah, that's all I've read really.
Also, it's a keeper who's not played at all this season. It's very hard to just come straight into a new team,
Correct.
Especially as a goalkeeper with a back four that's never a left winger at left back, a full back four that's changed. So look, I don't think there's any coincidence that he wasn't good first half, but was second because he'll settle into the game. And look, I think that's for all keepers. You can't. You see it quite often at the bigger leagues when say a keeper goes off injured and the sub keeper comes on. They're not the same, but yeah, I did feel for him a bit first half, but look, see the penalties on the replays. 2 cracking saves. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching the footage, Marco. So you're well kind of versed and ready for the questions that come. That,
This is
do you know
why
what that shows?
this is why I will never be the best podcast.
That shows commitment, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's draw that one to a close. Let's look ahead to the weekend. But before we do, of course, the news coming out on Thursday, the not so good news, unfortunately, about the steelworks. And again, the consultation that's begun with the possible job losses there at the steelworks. But the club issuing a reduced ticket offer for fans, which we'd just like to make you aware of. So if anyone can help me out by quickly opening social media whilst I continue talking, and then you can read out the statement about the offer. But of course, fantastic to see the club rallying behind the community, because Andy Butler was asked about it on BBC Radio Humberside and cited the fact that when he was a professional, when he was younger, I think 19, 20 years old, they went to see the steelworks and kind of looked at, what it meant to the community and kind of the effects that it has. So Marco, I'm hoping you're going to
Yeah.
help me out here.
I'll run you through. And look, I just to echo what Barra said. Like, I mean, I can't speak for Barra and Gareth. I've had family work there, friends previously, and it's for Heart Scunthorpe. Our third kit tells you everything you need to know. It shows that, and no, it's good. It was good from the club to do that. And this is exactly what they said. Scunthorpe United are devastated to learn the prospect of consultation with steelworkers working in the local area, with 2,700 jobs confirmed as being at risk as early as June 2025. As such, we are putting on a ticketing offer applicable for steel workers this Saturday, with adults being able to attain a ticket for just £10. All you need to do is take advantage of this offer, is show some identification that you are an employee of British Steel. So yeah, massive props to the club. A really good case of reading the room, unlike last week. Something they've got right, and let's hope a lot of people take up the offer, because it's a really crap time for them at the moment, and we're all behind. It'd be nice to see the players. Someone put on Twitter if he had Save Our Steel shirts on, and it would be nice to see him doing something like that. But
Well, Gareth, Phil Pinder got in touch earlier to say, wouldn't it be great if they wore the third shirt on Saturday?
Yeah, be a nice touch. Anything really, just to highlight what's happening. Just show that they're in our thoughts. So yeah, anything we can do as a club, as a community, that we've got to do really. They're as big a part of the community as the club is. So yeah, if the club can do that, playing the orange shirts, then yeah, all for it.
Okay, then let's look ahead to the game against Southport on Saturday, and let's have our usual spy in the camp. Our guest this week is a member of the Southport media team, Rob Irwin. How you doing, Rob? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Barry. I'm okay, thank you. Good to
Great
be
stuff.
here.
It's great to have you on again. Your second appearance here on the Iron Hour podcast.
Yeah.
Now, the last time we spoke was just before, I would suggest, one of the most impressive performances and results of Southport season, when, of course, you beat the Iron 3-2 at home, coming from behind twice that day to secure that win. How well was that one received?
Well, obviously it was. I think it's the result of the season. We didn't expect it, and to be perfectly honest, I think we were outplayed for 80 minutes, but we somehow managed to get the 3-2 win. And I remember one of your fans coming up to us at the end of it and saying something like, "Do you always celebrate like this when you win?" I think we did over celebrate it a little bit, but like I said to him, you're a top team. I think you're going to face that in every game you face when you get beaten, certainly by a smaller club. So I always remember that moment. I thought, yeah, it's true. Really, we did go a little bit overboard. So it just shows what it meant. And looking at the way things have panned out, it was a win we needed, really. So yeah, it was good.
And let's be absolutely clear here, Rob, because of the current league standings and the implications, if we beat you on Saturday, you will see similar celebrations.
And why not?
I can make that abundantly clear.
Of course you do. You celebrate any win, don't you? Really, I think we did go a bit over the board that day, but it meant a lot, and
it's okay. When Scarborough beat us, they did a lap of honour.
Did they really?
Yeah, I love that. It was like World Cup '66 scenes. Never seen anything like it. So Southport currently sitting in 18th. Now, I would suggest you've got no serious relegation worries, because you're 11 points above that relegation zone, and recent games will come on to them. But I would say probably with 47 points, one win away from safety.
I think so. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I think looking at the bottom four, who they've got to play, I think I think it's going to 47 will be enough this season. Normally you say 50. But 47 should do it this year, I think. So the trouble is, we've got yourselves to play, we've got Kidderminster to play, and we've got Chester to play. So you've got three difficult ones up at the top. So you've got to be gentle with us on Saturday because we've got Kidderminster coming up, so we could do you a few favours there. So
I'll tell you what, we'll only put one past you on Saturday if you draw with Kidderminster. How's that?
that'll do. We'll do your
Yeah,
deal now. Let's take it now. Yeah.
yeah. I can. I actually do have the authority to sign that.
Do
So
you?
let's. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Well, I'll come
yeah.
and see you.
Absolutely.
I'll come and see you before the game. Then I'll make sure we get it signed off in a contract.
So coming off the back of two contrasting results, of course. Let's we'll talk about Saturday in a moment, but the week before, beating relegation threat or threatened Rushall Olympic 2-0. Luke Burgess getting both
Yeah.
goals, one either side of half time. But on Saturday, going down 1-0 to Scarborough, and
Yeah.
ex-Iron player Richie Bennett scoring, which will shock Iron fans listening to this if they just find that out for the first time. But yes, Richie Bennett scored a goal against Southport on
And he got sent
Saturday.
off last night, didn't he? I don't know if you
He
noticed he got
did.
sent off last night. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Speaking of red cards, there was a red card in that game, I believe. Is that correct? Finley Heath sent off on Saturday.
Yeah, he'd only come on in 76 minutes, and then in added time, he got a second yellow. It was a stupid one, though. It's just one of the. I think it just went rush of blood to the head, as they say. It just he couldn't argue with it really. He'd left his foot in a little bit, so it was one we couldn't argue with, and we never looked like scoring on Saturday, to be perfectly honest. So I just and that's been a problem all season.
We talked about those kind of contrasting results. Were they contrasting performances as well? Have they been inconsistent this season, Southport?
Yeah, it's been a season of not being able to score. We're on heading for our lowest ever goals per game record because I don't think we've ever we're going back a long, long time. Last time we conceded less than scored less than one a game, and it's currently 39 from 40. So it's not looking good, and that's been the problem. We've just not had that push forward this season, and it has been a little bit disappointing, really. And I think we've scored 3 goals against the top 12 sides this season at home. Away from home. Says it all. We've just not had it. And the annoying thing about Southport, we've got a very good collective individual players, individuals, and that's the key word. But they're all of advanced year. They're all getting on a little bit. I don't mean that sound disparaging, but
Yes.
they're all of an age over
You
30.
make them sound like geriatrics, Rob.
Well, not quite, no, but I think when you put them all together, and everyone says it, but we have been absolutely battered with injuries, and it's just been one of those that's it's a season we want to just get out of the way, I think now. But I think we've raised our game. We raised our game at Chester. We got a 0-0 draw, which has been a few of those this season at Chester, and on the day, we could have sneaked a win at the end. So we can do it, but it's the scoring goals which is going to be the issue, I think.
Well, one player who's at least reached double figures this season in terms of goals scored is Danny Lloyd, 11 goals in 37 games. What's the story with him? Because according to Transfermarkt, I don't know how accurate this is, but he's not featured in the last 2 games. Is that right?
Yeah, he missed Saturday. We had a local cup tie last night. He played back again in that one, so he should be back on Saturday, I would think. He's been in and out. He started the season absolutely on fire. He was firing and really going well. Just had a bit of a quiet spell in the last few weeks, so he was rested on Saturday. He'll probably feature on for the Scunthorpe game of this Saturday, I would think. So he's been in a bit in and out. He likes to do everything. He takes all the free kicks, takes all the corners, and he wants to be involved all the time. So, but yeah, he's got the goals for us this season, which have been absolutely vital, seeing as we haven't scored so many.
Another player that stands out to me, more so around his kind of, I don't know how to say this, his presence on the pitch when we played you last time is your goalkeeper, Chris Renshaw. I know, for want of a better phrase, rattled a lot of Iron fans that game. He's kept an impressive 14 clean sheets this season. And I say impressive because for a team down in 18th place, which is where you are, I think 14 clean sheets is tremendous, to be honest with you. How impressive has he been?
He's been brilliant. He's kept us in many, many games. I think with any goalkeeper, everybody, because I play and goal for our walking football team, you make a mistake, everybody remembers, oh, you made one mistake. They forget the 25 saves you made to keep him in the game. So I think he's he has kept us going, and he's certainly in one of the leading contenders for Player of the Year. And he's a lovely lad as well. We wish him well, and we hope he does carry on with Southport for as long as possible because, like you say, the number of clean sheets he's got. His target is to get to one every 3 games. He's just over it at the moment, so he wants to try and bring that on. He was annoyed. He got sent off in a game at where were we at Peterborough. Otherwise, he would have had an ever-present record, and I'd promised him a trophy if he got it. But he unfortunately came out and the ball. He was just outside the area, and just instinctively handled the ball, and he was sent off. So he missed his ever-present record for the second season running. So he was a bit cross about that. But yeah, he's kept us in so many games, and he's a very, very good keeper.
Finally, then, Rob, looking at the tables as we head into this one, we obviously know the respective league positions, but Southport, in terms of the away form table, all the way down in 20th, with only 5 wins away from home this season. By contrast, Scunthorpe United up in second place in the home form table, having lost only 1 game at home this season.
Yeah.
With that being said, how do you see this one going, Rob?
I never like to predict a defeat for my team, do you? I don't think anybody does, but I'm gonna do it. I think we'll struggle. I think it'll be a hard game for Southport on Saturday, and I can see a 2-0 win for Scunthorpe, but the heart will always say we'll get a 1-0. Oh, sorry, a 0-0. We don't score goals, so we'll go for a 0-0 draw, but which will be very happy for us. But I think you're on fire, aren't you, at the moment? I think, in all honesty, you should be beating us on Saturday. One thing I'm hoping for, and just say, I'm hoping we'll get our record attendance at Conference North level away from home. It's currently standing at 3,724, so hopefully that'll be beaten on Saturday, so we can give you the record of the highest ever gate we've played in front of away from home.
We'll see. It'll be close. I think we'll probably do it. I don't know if you saw the record that we set at the weekend.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
8,300.
So get 4,000 in for us, and that's a new record for us to hold, please. So we'll go with that.
Right. Well, we'll remember that. That's the message to Iron fans. If ever there was a rallying cry, that's it.
Well, yeah, get in for Southport, yeah. But don't forget our contract before the game. Well, I'll meet you before the turnstile.
That's great stuff. Right. Thank you very much, Rob.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, that was Rob Irwin there from the media team at Southport. An interesting take on things. Really good, actually, to hear about the effects of well, not good. Interesting to hear about the effects of their 3-2 win over us earlier on in the season. Gareth, you were there that day. Horrific, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically. I don't know how we lost that game, but we did. Let's just hope it's not the same again on Saturday. Can't be the same again, can it? It was just, you had to go in the lead and then get pegged back, take the lead, get pegged back, and then lose the game. And just some of the defending on show. Oh. So I think we've moved on from that now. I think we're a lot more competent. And I'd like to think it'd just be a steady away game for us, do the basics and get the points. Basically.
You would hope so. Now, a player who scored in that reverse fixture marker was, of course, Danny Whitehall. The news broke out on Thursday via BBC Radio Humberside and Andy Butler that, unfortunately, Whitehall is out for this weekend. Very, very, well, no chance of him playing this weekend. And who knows, in terms of next Saturday, you would hope it gives him half a chance at least with the extra 7 days to recover. What does our front line look like with the absence of Danny?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
This is why you're the best. No, look, there's an argument. Carlton's got to be staking a claim, obviously with his goal midweek as well, to be about 1. Whether we do play a 3, do you play Beeston off the left like you did before the injury? There are real 2 options, really. I think at home going Beck up top on his own isn't the way forward. I'm being harsh there. I know Beck scored again on Saturday too, but I just think with Beeston or Carlton, it gives you that bit of extra threat that Beck really doesn't with getting behind the lines. Obviously, Fadera's knocking on the door. I didn't see how he played midweek in the final, but look, he took his goal really well. He's somebody you don't want to play against, and look, it'd be really interesting. But like we said, we've mentioned we're going for Park Pitch, and unfortunately, I don't think it suits Fadera at the minute. It doesn't really suit wingers, so be interesting to see. But yeah, it's to me, it's between Carlton or Beast. I don't want to see Beck up in the middle on Saturday.
Gareth, what would you go for in terms of the striker options on Saturday?
I think I would have Beck. I'll be honest. Got Marco.
Can we have another?
Well, no, I just think that, if him and Carlton can work together, whereas Carlton's running off him, because he's going to win headers, and he does win headers, it's effective when people are running off him. And I think Carlton can do that. And I thought, on Saturday against Chester, I thought he came all right. I thought he did all right when he came on. I'll be honest. But yeah, so I would start with Beck and Carlton.
Might be none of them.
It could be none of them. It could be none of them. But,
Imagine that. Imagine if there's somebody we're not even considering.
To be fair, we are doing this on deadline day.
Yeah.
It's been pretty quiet, but...
Well, Butler said no signings, but who knows? Right, Marco, I wonder what you think with regards to the right-back options. Do you think it'll be Michael Kelly again?
Yeah. I think you'd be one, heartless, and two, not unprofessional, that's maybe the wrong word, but I think he's earned his start.
Yeah.
He was fantastic on Saturday. Every single man was, 1 to 11 were fantastic. So whether Rose is fit or not, I don't see how he starts. I think Kelly's got to start and keep going as he did on Saturday, because it was a really good performance. His goal was sublime. And yeah, it'd be very hard done to not start on Saturday. And like I said, it gives you that defensive stability. I feel like Southport have to come and offer a lot more than Chester did. I don't think it'll be as easy as game, as bad as it sounds. Who'd have thought we'd have been saying this last week? So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But like I said, I'd be shocked if Kelly didn't start, even if Rose was fully fit.
Gareth, we talked in the Spine the Camp segment there with Rob about the fact that Southport have 47 points. So you would think, with the fact that they're 11 points above the drop zone, they're more or less safe already. Probably just one win away from really feeling like they're over the line. Do you think Andy Butler might use this as an opportunity to get other players onto the pitch? I'm particularly thinking now about the centre-back pairing. Or do you think he will stick with Coogan and Evans at centre-back?
I think you've got to stick. I think you've got to stick. There's no point. What's the point in swapping it over now just to, rest players? Like if they're not showing any signs of injury, for me, you stick. I'd played Kelly as well. I think the back four all looked comfortable against Chester, and why would you change that? I can't see why you'd bring Boyce in for Coogan or Evans. I think you stick with what you've got. They're playing well. There's no need to mix it up right now. Ultimately, all it takes is one mistake. Say if Boyce does come in as a mistake there, that'll get looked at straight away and scrutinised. Why did we do that? Why didn't we do that? So for me, we just keep the same back four as what played at Chester and take it from there for definite.
And Gareth, Marco talked about the fact that he thinks it might be actually more of a difficult game than the Chester game was. What are you expecting from Southport? Do you think it might be 11 men behind the ball? Or
yes.
Okay.
No, I do. Yeah, I think they still want to be safe. They still want to pick up points, and they can pick a point up away at Scunthorpe by sticking 11 men behind the ball. That's what they'll do. They're not there to entertain the Scunthorpe fans.
Yeah.
They're wanting to be safe themselves, mathematically safe. So for me, I think they will try. They're not going to be open and attacking. As much as they'd love to do the double over us, I can't see it happening. But it's for us to break them down. I think it'll be one of those games. I'm not expecting free flowing goals galore or anything like that. I think it'll be a tight game, a tough game, but I think we'll have enough to see us over the line and get the points. But yeah, I can't see them offering much.
Okay, well, Marco, Gareth has touched there on the fact that he thinks it'll be a tight game. Now, I'm just going to take you back to Tuesday night. We obviously talked about the Links Cup, but the other big fixture on Tuesday was between Brackley Town and Kidderminster Harriers. Kidderminster getting a very impressive 1-0 win away from home, which now takes them up into second place and just 2 points behind us with a 1 goal better goal difference than us. So looking at how they could catch us up on points would be if certain in the next 6 games. If we were to draw a game and they were to win, they would obviously catch us up on points. With that being said, and considering the fact that they are now above us on goal difference, do you think Butler needs to roll the dice and try and get a heavy win between now and the end of the season?
I think we've had that chance back with Farsley. South, like Gareth said, Southport aren't going to come here and let us ship 4 or 5 past them. I'd love it. I hope we do, but there's not many teams that come to Grantham Park and come to have a go as such, and enable us to play like that and get that many goals. Like I said, the only fixture I could see with us actually maybe doing that was Farsley. But look, barring Kidderminster, our goal difference is the best in the league, I think. Yeah, Tuesday was annoying because out of the 2, a draw would have been great. But look, Kidderminster seem to be the team to beat at the minute, and I know they've strengthened today as well. They've got a couple of signing in, sorry, but so with Southport, what I saw earlier, a lad from Salford. So look, it's anyone's. It's really hard to call at the minute. If you'd have asked me on Saturday, I'd have said it's ours. We've won it. That result on Tuesday, though, just knocked me back a little bit and a little bit more pessimistic. But no, let's hope in Butler we trust, and we just need to get it over the line. Danny Whitehall being injured the worst time possible is not ideal. But look, I'd rather him come back fully fit rather than a 50-60%.
And Gareth, Kidderminster at home to Peterborough Sports on Saturday. How worried are you about their push for the title now?
You've got to be worried. You've got to look at it because, as you say, the 2 points round, there's 1 back goal difference. So you've got to be wary of that. But I think if the Scunthorpe players have the mentality that and it is in our hands. Ultimately, it's for us still. We're in the driving seat. So if the players have got mentality and play like they did against Chester, going to the game knowing that if you get a win, let's not worry about what Kidderminster are doing. Let's worry about what we're doing on the pitch. That goes for the fans as well. We've got to keep looking at us and get the results. And if, whatever reason, we draw, we lose, we've just got to hope that Kidderminster have done the same. Because ultimately, it's up to us what we do now between the 6 games. You look at their fixtures, there's a couple of hard ones in there. But, out of the 6 games, I think we've got enough about us. I really do. Like saying, and if that means Whitehall comes back as well with 4 games left, 3 games left, then that's a good addition for the final, few games. So I think we've got to stay positive. We've got to look forward and not over our shoulders. And yeah, it's in our hands.
Okay, before we wrap up the podcast this week, should we have our score predictions? Marco, do you want to hit us up?
2-0. Iron win.
2-0 Iron. What do you say, Gaz?
I'll go 2-0 as well.
Okay, I'm going to say, we're going to run through and make 4-0. Yeah, serious. 4. I'm telling you now.
I hope we'll be right.
Saturday's the day, mate. We get a positive swing on that goal difference.
And Peterborough get 3 points away at Kidderminster.
No, I think Kidderminster will beat Peterborough, but I think it might only be 1 or 2 goals, and that goal difference could level up again.
I'm off. Gash hat trick.
I love the gash. I love the gash.
I love that of gash.
What was that? You love it? We haven't seen it in a while. Oh, God. Right. That's it for this week's episode of the Iron Hour podcast. We all right to wrap it up, gents? Anything else to say?
No, I think we're good.
Just get yourself down on Saturday, get behind the team, enjoy it again.
Enjoy it again. Up the iron.
Up the iron.
Up the iron.